Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, the books I bought recently. So these are the books that I acquired in August and September, and I'm going to try to do them in the order that I got them, because I got them from groups of places, so let's just go. So the first three books were ones that I got on a local Facebook marketplace. Somebody was selling them. So I bought them. They were $2 each. So first we have The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessica Brody, and I'm just going to read the inside of the dust jacket because I don't really know what this is about. So Rin has one unread text message on her phone, and it's been there for almost a year. She hasn't tried to read it. She can't. She won't, because that one message is the last thing from her best friend. The last thing her best friend ever said before she died. But as Rin finds herself trapped in the Denver airport on New Year's Eve, thanks to a never-ending blizzard on the one-year anniversary of her best friend's death, fate literally runs into her, and his name is Xander. When the two accidentally swap phones, Rin and Xander are thrust into the chaos of an unforgettable all-night adventure filled with charming and mysterious strangers, a secret New Year's Eve bash, and the possible Illuminati conspiracy hidden with the airport. And that's all I'm going to read. I think I might try to read this around Christmas time, maybe around New Year's, but it's like, I don't know, I've heard good things about this, and it was only $2, so if I don't end up liking it, well, it was $2. The next book is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. It has this beautiful map, and I'm going to read the back. So, she flees on her wedding day. She steals ancient documents from the Chancellor's Secret Collection. She pursued by bounty hunters sent by her own father. She's Princess Leia, 17, first daughter of the House of Morgan? The Kingdom of Morgan. I don't even know how it's pronounced. Is steeped in tradition and the stories of bygone world, but some traditions Leia can't abide, like having to marry somebody she's never met for a political alliance. Fed up and ready for a new life, Leia, I don't know if it's Leia or Laia, escapes to a distant village in the morning of her wedding. She settles among common folk, intrigued when two mysterious and handsome strangers arrive, and unaware that one is a jilted prince and the other is an assassin sent to kill her. I've heard amazing things about this. So I figured, first book in a series, I don't know, this is definitely a book I won't read till next year because I don't need to start a million more series. And then this one was an impulse. I saw these first two, and then I was like, then I saw this one, I was like, oh, Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the fourth book in the Lunar Chronicles series. Essentially, a brief description of it is, essentially the first book, Cinder, we follow Cinder, who is part cyborg, and when she has to help Prince Kai fix his android, that leads into this bigger plot that then it's a 4-book series, but each book follows a different character, but then the characters from the previous book are in it, and this is the fourth one. And when I tell you I damn near shit myself, that is Marissa Meyer's signature. I was just like, I want to reread this series maybe sometime next year, and this was $2, and it's signed, and now I'm never getting rid of it. It is a prized possession. $2. It's the cheapest I've ever gotten a signed book. So then the next books I bought were bought in September here. Actually, the rest of these books I've hauled within the last week and a half. Oops. But my local library had a book sale, and I checked it out, and I found 3 books that interest me. So we have Resist, which is a sequel to Breathe, which I own. And Breathe, we essentially follow these 3 people that... essentially we're in a world where you have to pay for oxygen. One person is an elite and is able to afford it. One person isn't, and so you have to like kind of scrounge around for it, and the other person, I don't know, and it's the 3 of them stepping outside of this like bubble dome thing. I don't really know much about it, but it was $1. And the first one I got for literally like I think $5 on Book Outlet. So like it's like $6 for an entire duology. If I hate it, I can get rid of it. If I love them, well, I love them and I didn't pay much for them. The next book was Graceling by Kristin, Cashore, and I actually know nothing about this. Casta has been able to kill a man with her bare hands since she was 8. She's a Graceling, one of the rare people in her land born with an extreme extreme skill. As niece of the king, she should be able to live life of privilege. But graced as she's with killing, she's forced to work as the king's thug. When she first meets Prince Po, graced with combat skill, Casta has no hint of how her life is supposed to change. She never expects to become Po's friend. She never expects to learn the new truth about her own grace or about a terrible secret that's hidden far away. So, like, yeah, I've heard good things, and it was $1. Do I need to say more? So this next one, I have a backstory with this book, and that is A Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And essentially it is, I've read it. I DNF'd it at 90 some pages maybe. But it was $1, and I really want to reread this book. I want to actually try to enjoy it, because I blame the only reason I DNF'd it is because I was coming off of my Akamath reading, and that was my favorite. That's like one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. So I blame that. This essentially, from what I got, is essentially there's this circus called the Night Circus that pops up in different locations at night for various amount of times, and we have these two people that are like a duel between two young musicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood, especially for this purpose by their instructors. Unbeknownst to them, this is a game in which only one can be left standing. This is such a well-loved book. I hated it, but I also, like, I saw it and I was like, I need it. I need to love it. And again, if I read it and I DNF it again or I hate it, I can always get rid of it. It was $1. Yeah. So then these next two books were from Book Outlet, and this book, the first book was the reason why I made this purchase, and that was Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, the sequel to Skyward. And in Skyward, essentially, we follow Spencer, who is the daughter of a ex-fighter pilot who got killed in battle after being a coward and backing off. And Spencer wants to become a pilot. We are essentially in a world where, like, there's these aliens called the Creel that attack this planet that we're on, and these, like, pilots go ahead and they face off, and Spencer wants to be a pilot, but because and so she goes to try to do it, and it's like it's her through school and all that. It's a whole thing. And I loved it. I gave it a 4.5, and so I made this. I had purchased, and I'm planning on reading this, fingers crossed, in October if I can squeeze it onto my TBR. But yeah. And then the next book was, I was like, oh, I don't just want to buy one book, even though I had money, I had a credit to, like, I had like $5 off that would pay for the shipping, but I also grabbed Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi, the first book being Shatter Me, which is somewhere behind me. But essentially, Shatter Me, we follow Juliet, who, her touch is lethal, and in the first book at least, she's attempted to be recruited by this organization, essentially, and she denies, but she gets forced to do it anyways, and that is a very bad explanation. This is a series I'm dying to own all the core books so I can read them and annotate them, because I loved all of these books. I gave them all 5 stars. I've already read this, and I love these covers so much. They're like so like simple yet pretty, but like, oh my gosh. And then the final books were from Indigo, and these were actually just bought in like 2 days ago when I'm filming this. So the first book will be Iron Widow by Xiran J. Zhao, and this book came out on the 21st of September, so literally the day after I'm filming it, but the day before come up. I'm filming this on the 20th, it comes out on the 21st, I'm uploading this on the 22nd, if that makes any sense. But I'm just going to read this dust jacket, because even though I've read it, I suck at explaining it. So, in Huaxia, the highest honor for a young girl is to be selected as a concubine pilot. Supporters paired with the male pilots to power up chrysalises, the giant transforming mechas that humanity relies on to battle the massive aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. But the honor often ends in death. But when 18-year-old Zacian's sister is killed by the ace male pilot, Zacian signs up to avenge her. The vengeance is swift, brutal, and unexpected, leaving Zacian labeled as an Iron Widow and a much feared kind of female pilot who can only sacrifice boys to power up chrysalises instead of the other way around. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she is paired up with Li Shimin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in Huaxia. But now that Zacian has a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage her and Shimin's combined might and infamousy to survive attempt after attempt of her life until she can figure out exactly why the pirate system relies so heavily on destroying girls' life and dismantle it for good. This book I gave 5 stars. It is literally on my top 5 books of this year. I loved it so much. I never would have been able to describe it that well. This is one description of a book that literally is perfect. And I could do an entire review of this book. I might reread it and do an entire review of it. It's so fucking good. It has like polyrep. It has badass female main character. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Read it, read it, read it. I will shove this book down everyone's face. The next book I got is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Well, let's just read the description. So, Yadriel has summoned a ghost and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real Brujo. I do not know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. With the help of his cousin and best friend Marcia, he performs the Quince's ritual himself, then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy. He and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He is determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel speaks with Julian, the less he wants him to leave. And I love this so much. I read this last October ebook and I gave it 5 stars. I think it was on my favorites of 2020. I think it was like number 8 or 9 on that list. Loved this so much. I needed a physical copy and my Indigo that's about an hour and a half away from me had it and I was like, you know what? Might as well grab it. It's almost spooky season and this ghosts. It takes place around Halloween. I think part of the book does take place on Halloween, so like might as well. The next book is Queen of Volts by Amanda Foody, and this is the 3rd book in the Shadow Games series. Essentially, the first one we follow Anne, who has to travel to the city of New Rains after her mother goes missing, and she's going to find her mother, but she ends up getting kind of roped into this. She ends up meeting this gang leader named Levi who agrees to help and in exchange for money, essentially, and that is the very, very brief plot of this. I love this series so much. I own the other 2, but this is one of my favorite series of all time, and this technically came out last year, but the paperback just came out here in September, and I wanted the paperback. I needed to wait till the paperback, so this is a book that I bought the ebook and then bought the physical book. I do that way too often. I need to just buy physical books to save money on the ebooks. Oh my gosh, but I love this series so much, and now I'm like, can I do a reread? My brain's yelling at me yes, but it's also like no, but then I'm like, I need to annotate the shit out of this. And the final book that I bought is Empire the Vampire by J. Kristoff, and the main reason I bought it, well, this is one. Signed, I'm a sucker. I have no idea what this actually is about. I've actually never read the description. So, it has been 27 long years since the last sunrise. For nearly 3 decades, vampires waged war against humanity, building their eternal empire even as they tear down our own. Now, only a few tiny sparks of light endure in the sea of darkness. Gabriel de Leon is a silver saint, a member of the Holy Brotherhood, dedicated to defending realm and church from the creatures of the night. But even the Silver Order could not stem from the tide once daylight failed us, and now only Gabriel remains, imprisoned by the very monsters he vowed to destroy. The last Silver Saint is forced to tell a story of legendary battles and forbidden love, of faith lost and friendship won, of the wars of the blood and the Flower King, and the quest for humanity, of last remaining hope, the Holy Grail. Everybody's talking about this. I gave in. Everybody was buying this book, and I was like, okay, I need to give in. And between it being on sale for $30 and then my Plum Plus membership that I gave in and I bought, I said screw it. it only came out to $27. So like, I'm like, this pretty cover, which I am going to remove these stickers. I also don't know what makes it an Indigo exclusive, in all honesty. Maybe the end pages? That's what I'm thinking. Maybe like the beautiful end pages. I don't know. But yeah. The biggest thing is now, for some of these books, I have no idea where they're going on my shelf. So I'm going to need to reorganize them one of these days. Oops. But yeah, those are the books that I bought recently. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And let me know what books you have hauled in the last few months, and if you've read any of these books, or if you want to buy any of these books, or just leave anything in the comments below. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!